Hello everybody, this is Albert with Green Tea House. I hope you're doing well today. We're going to talk about today how the majority of coffee shops and tea shops are serving you toxic garbage for more than one reason or another. Intentionally, not intentional. It's probably not intentional. Now before we begin, if you haven't been to our tea shop in Green, Texas, which is halfway between San Antonio and Austin on I-35, come visit us. We'd like to meet you. Also subscribe and hit the notification bell. It's a little way you can help us out over here, and post a comment. So I'm recording from home. Today is Sunday. We're not open on Sundays. It's God's day, so we try not to be open ever on Sunday. We're never open on Sunday, but I thought we could do a home edition of this episode. So look, I want to preface this by saying that I don't think the majority of owners of coffee shops and sweet tea shops are malicious in any way, or they're trying to poison you. But I will say that it's unfortunate what has happened to coffee shops. We're not going to really say tea shops because the large majority of the United States didn't have tea shops aside from small segments in large cities in the West Coast and East Coast. So we'll talk mostly about coffee shops. What happened post-COVID? So if you think of like coffee shops from the 90s or even 20 years ago or even before COVID, the majority of coffee shops would serve their coffee in mugs. I got this cup from Quebec when I went to Quebec City a few years ago, but they serve in porcelain coffee mugs. That's how you would drink it. And why would they do that? They would only do takeout containers for takeout. They would only use that for takeout. Coffee and tea taste better in glass, ceramic, and even wood. In some tea shops, you can drink out of wood. They just taste better. We know that drinking coffee and tea out of styrofoam, styrene, the active component of styrofoam, is a plastic. So we know that drinking out of plastic just doesn't taste as good. So what happened after COVID is a lot of coffee shops, in the name of COVID, in the name of hygiene or whatever, switched to doing sit-down service with paper cups. Now, I know the pain in the butt of washing cups. Our experience at Green Tea House is unique. We use glass teapots. So I'm rinsing. Every time you come in, I have to rinse that glass teapot. Every time you pick a mug, cup, whatever, I have to clean that. So I understand on one level how baristas at coffee shops don't want to clean every mug that they have to serve. Now, I get that. And most of these places will have big dishwashers. Some of them have those real fast ones that will clean them really quickly, but it's still laborious as opposed to just giving people for sit-down tea and pouring in a paper cup and give it to them and it's disposable. So I understand why they do it, but I think the majority of coffee shops post-COVID did that. Now, a lot of people just, like with a lot of post-COVID things, just got used to it. And it's sad because I think that you are minimizing the experience of drinking your hot beverage in paper cups. Part of the experience of going to coffee shops, just like imagine like going to a restaurant and they serve you your food in takeout containers, styrofoam takeout containers, right? So there's something about the experience of drinking tea or coffee in a mug. And a lot of coffee shops just have never gone back to that because honestly it's cheaper and it's less time consuming. Now, one of the problems with paper cups, and you can look this up, is plastic cups we know have problems. We have problems with the environment, the how long it takes for them to degrade, which is a zillion years, but also the hormone disruptors that are found in plastics and plasticizers like bisphenol A, otherwise known as BPA, and the other ones. Well, there's a lot of studies that show that the paper cups have those too. And if you doubt that, paper cups, right? If you feel the outside of a paper cup, it's going to be kind of papery, right? But then you feel the inside, you know how it's smooth? Why is that? Because they put a liner, and that liner in there prevents the hot beverage from seeping into the actual paper. You guys you've put cardboard somewhere and you put water on cardboard. What happens? It becomes pliant, soft. So they have to put a liner in there to protect it. Well, studies show that those have forever chemicals, PFASs. And people are more vigilant of forever chemicals now than ever before, right? Because these are hormone disruptors. They disrupt your endocrine system. They possibly have cancer issues, carcinogenic, if you want to use the big word. And so the majority of times when you go to a coffee shop, they're serving to you and things that are hazardous to your health. Mugs are not hazardous to your health. So if you're going for sit down at a coffee shop, you're limiting your experience by drinking in a container that makes your coffee not taste as good. Plus you're drinking from something that is problematic. Now, of course, takeout containers, if you look for cold beverages, cold coffee, and of course, cold tea, which is normally sweet tea, Most of these places are still going to serve it in plastic. They have no problem giving you plastic. And look, I get it. It's takeout. What else are they going to give it to you in? So what can be done about this? Well, look, if you are planning, and this is what I used to do before I opened the tea shop. If I was going to go to a coffee shop, because I don't pick coffee shops based on the taste of coffee, because I haven't had coffee in 30 years. I go there for ambience. So if I find a coffee shop that's relaxing and they have crappy tea bag tea, I'll bring my mug. And I'll just tell them, give me the bag, fill up my mug with hot water, and then I'll put my bag in the hot water in a mug. So you have to bring your own mug. Again, not all coffee shops. There are some coffee shops that have brought back mugs, or they'll if you ask for a mug, they'll put your coffee or tea in a mug. But this is one way to get around it. If you're looking for takeout sweet tea, if you go to a sweet tea place, or even cold coffee, you can bring your Yeti container and just say, hey, can you make it and pour it in here? And if they're reasonable, they should have no problem doing it. So these are ways that you can limit your effect, your exposure to these hormone disruptors. And I just find it sad. I mean, even if you take away the health reasons, I just find it sad because, as you know, at Green Tea House, if you've been there, we're all about the aesthetic. Tea and coffee, its lesser cousin, I would say. There's an aesthetic to it, and the aesthetic is the visual aesthetic, looking at the glass teapot, looking at the liquor of the tea. And even coffee has a liquor. You can look at it, even though it's pretty much always the same. Smelling the tea leaves, smelling the hot coffee or hot tea, enjoying the head note, the body note, the tail note. And there's an aesthetic to it. And when you settle at a coffee shop or a tea shop where they serve it in paper cups in-house, I just think you're doing yourself a disservice. So what I would tell you to do is find a coffee shop or a tea shop that serves in mugs. And if you can't do that, then bring your own cups. Lastly, coffee. We have a bunch of episodes on coffee, but just to review, coffee is healthy on some level. It does have a good amount of antioxidants, not as much as tea, but the problem with coffee is that it does spike your cardiovascular system. And so it will increase your heart pressure, your blood pressure, I should say. It will increase your pulse. For some people, they get palpitations, anxiety, and it does dehydrate. The Arabica bean and the Robusta bean, the two beans that coffee comes from, they dehydrate. And so although there are benefits to coffee, the benefits of tea are more. There's more antioxidants. Tea actually hydrates you. Tea has L-theanine, an amino acid that causes relaxation and focus. The Arabica and Robusta beans don't have that. And so you're getting more of the benefits of fighting disease, fighting cancer with all the antioxidants, the catechins in particular, but none of the side effects of coffee. And one of the reasons we have this channel is just to educate people that coffee is good. Most people were raised on coffee through Starbucks. But in this generation where the millennials and Gen Zs are the most anxious they've ever been, and at a time where we're the most overweight we've ever been, coffee exacerbates those two. I talked about previously how coffee, if you drink more than 2 cups a day, and you already have high blood pressure, it doubles your chances of strokes and heart attacks and aneurysms, all the cardiovascular events. Again, you can look it up. And you talk about the youth are the most anxious they've ever been. Coffee, because it doesn't have L-theanine, and because it spikes your cardiovascular system, unlike tea, which will spike the alpha waves in your head, but it doesn't spike your cardiovascular system. Even if you drink teas that are high in caffeine, tantamount to what's in coffee, like Gyokuro, maybe matcha, silver needle white, they don't do these things. So a lot of people just don't know this. And if you're an anxious millennial or Gen Z, coffee is the worst thing to be drinking. And that's why we have this channel. This is why we do the outreach, is to teach Americans who don't know a lot about Asian teas that tea is the healthiest beverage in the planet. It is the most consumed beverage in the planet. On average, on a given day, 5 billion people drink tea or a tisane. So guys, either way, post in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. What's your experience with coffee, paper cups, and whatnot? Until next time, take care. God bless.